Tyler Myers gets punishment dealt, leaving this Canucks roster even more decimated than it already is. And scenes from Monday's practice give us a look at how this team will look tomorrow night versus the Sabres. We're going to be breaking down all of that in this episode of Canucks Digest, but first make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss any updates surrounding the Canucks as we head into a game against the Sabres tomorrow night. And with that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is Tyler Myers suspended 3 games. So it was announced today by the NHL Player Safety that Tyler Myers has been suspended for 3 games for cross-checking Edmonton's Evan Bouchard. But before Canucks fans get too angry, Connor McDavid also got 3 games for cross-checking Connor Garland and will forfeit $195,312.50 in salary for the hit. So at least if Myers is getting suspended, so is Connor McDavid, and rightfully so. However, it is unfortunate that Myers is going to be gone for the next 3 games. And when speaking on his perspective on things, he says, things were getting heated there at the end. I'm not ignorant to the fact of how it looks in real time, but if you slow it down, I did start to lower as he started to bring his hands up. I kind of redirected my stick a little higher. I know how it looks. I never intended to hit him in the face. I've never cross-checked anybody in the face in my whole career. I mean, I was talking to him at the red line after, and I assumed he'd be okay. I don't want to hit a guy in the face like that. It was unfortunate that it ended up that way. Glad he is okay. So yeah, he is very remorseful about it, it seems, although he doesn't seem to think that it was as dirty as it might have seemed. It was a bit of it was a cross check. No way to put it, really. It's just him trying to save face and saying things like that. However, it does suck nevertheless that it happened on both ends, and it just was a very heated game. The emotions got high, and it just kind of got away from them a little bit. But Myers will miss the entire Canucks week of games against the Buffalo Sabres on Tuesday, the Oilers on Thursday, where he would definitely want to be playing in that game, and the Washington Capitals on Saturday. McDavid will also miss the Oilers' entire week of games. Edmonton will be without their captain against the Capitals on Tuesday, Canucks on Thursday, and the Sabres on Saturday. So the two teams are kind of flip-flopping teams that they're playing as well as playing each other. So that's going to be interesting to see over the next 3 games as far as both teams are concerned, but especially for this Canucks team as they won't have Tyler Myers. I know it hasn't been the greatest of seasons for him so far. However, he is still a big body defenseman that you want to have on there, a veteran presence as well. And it's only a matter of time before hopefully he gets it clicking and he's just back to how he was last season and playing a lot better. And again, it's been a very inconsistent season, not just for him, but for every Vancouver Canuck, it seems like, for this season, especially compared to where we were at last season. But if Vancouver can get through these 3 games without him and then he comes back, hopefully, hey, if he treats this as if a nice little sabbatical where he can get back onto the little mental break and then come back even more fired up to get back going. I know he's not going to be there for the Oilers game, which he definitely would want to be, especially for a revenge game where we want to steal another game against the Oilers, which would be great. And I know it would just fuel the rivalry even more, but we're not going to have him for that game. However, it is fortunate that Edmonton won't have Connor McDavid. But what do you guys think on the suspension? Do you think he should have got 3 games, or do you think he should have got none at all? And at least, are you happy that McDavid got his as well? Let us know down in the comments, but that's going to take us into our second topic of the day, which is lineup changes coming. So Brandon Batchelor was reporting on the Monday Canucks practice lines. You see there, DeBrusk, Pettersson, Boeser on the first line, Suter, Miller, Garland, then Heinen, Bluger, Sherwood, Höglander, Sasson, and PDG. So there's some changes here coming. And then you look at the defensive core there, where you have Hughes and Friedman, Soucy and Hronek, Forbert, Darnay, and then Myers as the extra skater before the suspension was handed out. So the biggest thing you're going to notice on here is what the major thing on this lineup change is going to be, and that is the breakup of Hughes and Hronek. Probably not going to be playing together on the same line for much of tomorrow night's matchup against the Sabres. And when on looking at it as well, the coach confirmed that Hronek will have to be prepared to take some shifts without Hughes while Myers is out the lineup, and Noah Juulsen remains out day-to-day with an undisclosed injury and hasn't skated with the group in a week. He's not expected to be ready to play on Tuesday. Dakota Joshua, with a hip injury, skated on his own prior to practice and is getting close to rejoining the main group. Joshua has been sidelined since the January 3rd game against Nashville. And when speaking on the split, Tocchet was saying that, well, it's not set in stone, but Phil is going to have to play some shifts with some other defense. It's situational stuff with certain personnel on Buffalo. Huggy might have to play with a different guy in certain situations when you've got some injuries, and obviously Mizey's situation, you have to be prepared for anything. And that's something that Vancouver, at least they're playing a team like Buffalo, who hopefully they should beat. This isn't a team that we should necessarily lose to. However, it could be a good old-fashioned Canucks trap game. But if we're able to steal this one, at least we're able to break up Hughes and Hronek for a game that isn't a massive one, or at least shouldn't be. If Vancouver can take care of business, put them away very easily, it won't be that big of a problem as it maybe seems to be heading into this game. I know, because Hughes and Hronek are the dream duo on defense. However, with the situation and with the situation with the situational stuff like Tocchet said with personnel with Buffalo, it's going to be interesting to see how much they actually play together and how much they're going to be playing a part. And when talking about the game on Saturday and moving forward into this game against Buffalo, Tocchet was saying it's a good rival. The building was rocking. It was a great game to watch. That's the intensity we need. I told this group to the group today, we can't be a once in a while team. You have to do it every day. It was the same thing in Toronto. It was a big win, and we obviously didn't come down from it. So this is something where Tocchet does not want that win to go to their heads. We've seen this time and time again, just in this season, where we go in, we beat a playoff contender or a Stanley Cup contender even. We went in and beat Florida. We've gone and beaten Edmonton in games, but they've just been one-off games. They're games where it almost tells the fans, hey, that old Vancouver Canucks team, they're in there somewhere. They're just waiting to bust out. But then they disappear for a few games after that against teams that we should be wiping the floor with. Same thing happened with Toronto. We went in there, we shut them out, and then we lost the next two games in blowouts. So Vancouver's got to have a lot to juggle with as far as consistency and juggling the Myers situation and the injuries. All the other things that play into a factor with that is going to be tough for Vancouver to handle heading into this game. But against a team like Buffalo, hopefully they can take care of business. And with Jonathan Lekkerimäki sent back to Abbotsford over the weekend, the Canucks have just 12 healthy forwards on the roster. Rick Tocchet name-checked both Aatu Räty, AHL's Player of the Week, mind you, and Linus Karlsson as guys who are playing well on the farm and could be considered for a recall soon. Tocchet suggested the team would likely stick with its current roster through Tuesday's game against the Sabres. So that's something where we have a lot of AHL guys that we have to bring up potentially. And at least Aatu Räty, he is clicking right now with Abbotsford. Linus Karlsson, he's had his stints with the NHL in a few, well, not just this season, but also last season, specifically in the playoffs as well, where it was a tough sledding for him initially, but coming into the season, he has played a lot better. And Aatu Räty earlier in this season was playing a lot better than we saw him in the brief stints that we saw last season. And so his development, being the AHL Player of the Week, he might be able to carry that momentum into this week where the Vancouver Canucks are definitely going to be at risk of being very short-handed with only 12 healthy forwards. Maybe Lekkerimäki gets called back up, but it's likely that Aatu Räty is going to get plugged in this lineup at some point during these next 3 games. But with the noise that's surrounding this team, there's one player that, like we covered in our last video with the possibility of the contracts, the trades, and all those things, Brock Boeser was addressing the media on the noise this season, saying, I've been through a lot of seasons with this stuff happening, and this might be one of the worst years I've been through with all the injuries and distractions and stuff. It's been hard, but with that being said, you have to find a way around it and keep working through it and sticking together. So Boeser, he's coming off a bit strong there at the beginning, but he's just being honest, just keeping it plain and simple, not beating around the bush, because there has been a lot of that stuff with Vancouver this year. Lots of injuries to players and big players at that. Lots of distractions with the PD, the PD and Miller stuff, everything that goes between it. And then you have all the contract and trade talks coming around Brock Boeser as well. He didn't address any of those. However, he is still on the optimistic side saying, hey, you just got to power through it and just push through the other side. And no one understands that more than Brock Boeser with all the health concerns he's had on and off the ice, and just working through it to get back to the way that he needs to be and being the best player he can be. And that's with this Vancouver Canucks team. That's the mentality they need heading into these next 3 games. But what do you guys think about their next 3 games ahead? How many do you guys think they're going to just win all 3? Or do you guys think they're going to split them? Do you think we're going to have another overtime game? And if so, are we going to be able to get a 2-point swing? Let us know what you guys think down in the comments. Love to hear what you guys have to hear. But that's going to do it for this episode of Canucks Digest. I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.